All right, welcome to another audio update from Streetwise and Conscious. Again, I'm Aidan, the brand manager here at S&C, and this is another opportunity really for us to bring you into everything that we're doing, give you an update on what happened last week after the last update. We've got Tom and Kyla, two of the co-founders with me today, and we're just going to go over everything that happened last week. Just to sort of start really and just explain what these audio updates are about. The reason we're doing this is because we really want to bring everyone out there into what we're doing. Obviously, with the homeless initiative that we're trying to support and the mission that we are undertaking as a new brand, we think it's very important to make everything very transparent. This is just the beginning. You can hopefully appreciate the insight into what's going on behind the scenes. So just quickly, last week, the team went out into Manchester. It was our first sort of get together, really, sort of showing what we're about. We had a film crew with us. Speak a little bit more about that, but the intention really was to show our intent with Coffee for Craig, the homeless charity we're supporting, and just get the ball rolling really, showing what we're about. So I've got Tom and Kyla, so we're just going to talk a little bit about what happened last week. Tom, I'll introduce you first. I'll let you take over. Just to give the guys a bit of an intro to you, who you are, and I'm sure a lot of people know who you are already, especially friends and family, but for those people who don't, bit about yourself and just give us a bit of an intro and let everyone know what happened last week and how that went, and then we'll move on to Kyla.
So thanks, Ed. So I'm Tom, as Ed said. This is an idea that was really born out of, my own experience of bumping into homeless people and chatting to homeless people. And when I was back in the UK, I could see that given, I've been living in Spain for the last 8 or 9 years, I really wasn't aware of just how grave a problem this had become, in streets in most towns and cities throughout the UK. It just so happened I was in and around the Manchester area at the time, and there it's such a real severe problem. So, getting to see it firsthand and getting to see, I think, a lot of the range in ages. I could see people my own age, and I'm sort of middle-aged, and then I could see young lads, round about Kyla's age, which is sort of, the other end of 20, Kyla's approaching 19, but it really frightened me, having 3 kids coming up on my own and seeing how vulnerable a lot of these people were. And, I think in old days, we used to sort of see people on the street as maybe being drunks or previously having had a drug problem or an existing drug problem. I think a lot of the people that I got to meet last week, I could see were just normal people. I think statistically now it's showing that the biggest cause of people ending up homeless is actually breakdowns in relationships. And I think it would be fair to say that some of the people have ended up having alcohol and maybe drug problems after they've found themselves on the streets, which I can completely understand. If you're at rock bottom and you kind of think for the period of time that maybe a drink or any kind of drug that somebody might be entertained by, then it takes the pain away from you. So I can get that, but I think looking at the severity of the problem and being firsthand last week humbled me a lot. And speaking to some of the guys that Kyla and I were really blessed enough to spend time with, and seeing just how normal a lot of these folk were, and guys like ourselves who are really taken on board, and maybe, others who are doing projects similar to ourselves, we could well go a long way to providing some kind of solution for a great many souls, So I was really touched last week. I was blessed to spend the time with Kyla. You can't really quantify how grave this problem is when you read about it in the papers or see it on the television. I think when you actually spend time speaking to people who are really suffering. One of the guys I was saying to him, obviously I'm a northerner. I know how grave and how desperate the winters are. How bad is it being on the street in the winter? And he said, oh, mate, if it gets that bad, I just get myself a kind of 6 months.
So he was basically saying, obviously anonymously, he was basically saying, I would prefer to be in jail, basically, wasn't he? That was the kind of takeaway from
it. And Ed, that was actually a feeling that ran through one of the guys that I chatted to was just out of the jail. These were guys that were actually logically totally accepting it was a preferred option. They weren't trying to impress me with it. And he was just saying to me, 3 meals a day, roof over my head. It was like, I could see the logic in it, but he wasn't in any way dressing it up. It was just a categoric fact. It's better than sleeping in a shop doorway. And I've got to say, I totally got that.
Yeah. So in a way, it probably puts everything into perspective, really, doesn't it? I mean, we're all fully aware of, in a way, the insignificance of what we're doing right now. And really what we're trying to do is build building blocks. So this is really the start of you know, our efforts to try and help. And, you know, with the support of people out there buying the clothing, you know, that supports us to do more, basically. So I'll bring Kyla in now and just get your thoughts on the day and just share a little bit of how you felt. So Kyla, you're Tom's daughter, for those that don't know. Co-founder,
Yeah.
worked on the early designs with the guys at the Couture Club, involved in, you know, most things that we do as a team, and massive part of what happened last week. So just recap them, really. So let's just tell the listeners about what you did last week. What did we do last week? How did that day pan out from sort of start to finish, really?
Yeah, last week was it was incredible, really. I mean, being able to see the designs and the clothes and how everything runs behind the scenes, and seeing what I'd kind of really poured my heart into with design wise and colors and all that kind of thing.
Seeing that in person. So what was it like for you as an experience? Obviously, like being, you know, essentially coming up with the concept with your dad, and then sort of like working with us over the last 2 years, and to finally come together with the team. Was you nervous? Was it exciting?
Yeah.
Was it...
No, it was kind of a nervous excitement kind of thing. I was so looking forward to it, and to have the team together and to be able to document it and show everybody what we're about, and, you know, have that kind of proof that we can send out to the world, really was great. It was really nice to spend the day, go to Coffee for Craig, speak to these incredible people, and it was really such a great experience, and I'd love to be able to do it again. You know,
because I mean, we've done all this we've done this remotely, haven't we?
Yeah.
So that's another important thing
everything's been over Zoom, and over the lockdown and through COVID, we've all you know, had our weekly Zoom chats and everything. So it's really nice to now be able to go out and do everything in person, and really see how, you know, everything that we've all put into over the last 2 years come together and become a real physical thing in front of you, rather than just something you talk about.
I mean, that's the whole intent of this, really. I mean, just to sort of clarify where we find ourselves as a business right now. I mean, you know, this is the first time all of us have really been involved in creating, you know, a streetwear brand like this, you know, and it is a very unique business. But we've been very fortunate to have the help of some amazing people, namely the guys at the Couture Club. They're, you know, a huge brand based, you know, coming out of Manchester. They, you know, they were able to really uplift us and give us access to so many things that we wouldn't have had access to. We would have been starting from
100%.
scratch. So we see ourselves as having sort of like two sides of the business. We've got Streetwise and we've got Conscious. Streetwise, if you look at us, the streetwear is amazing. The quality is fantastic. You know, we look like a high quality brand. So we know that we can give our customers quality. One of the things that we knew would happen is once we launched, we've been going now, since May. Once we got out of the blocks, we really knew that eventually we were going to have to sort of focus on the conscious side of things, which is helping people and really driving that mission forward.
Definitely.
This is really the first time we've come together and to do that. It certainly won't be the last, but obviously, you know, it's a massive task, and this is the building blocks, really, isn't it? So, yeah, getting everyone together was massive for us, and we're going to have a 5-minute film. I think that's the outcome. So that's going to show everyone
with some extra footage as well, I think, that we can. I'm excited for everybody to see.
Yeah, that's what I think for us as a business. It really feels like a sort of like a secondary launch, really, to be honest, because we've now got together. We've sort of taken a step back. We put our products into the market. We've had some amazing feedback from people who have purchased from us. It's driven us forward. It's allowed us to regroup, and now we've come together and said, look, you know, we are really going to have to, you know, work hard now to help, because at the end of the day, everyone who's involved in this business wants to do good. It's as simple as that.
Definitely.
You know, from the very top, the guys at the top, the investors, the board, Anthony, Martin, Baker, Scott, both of you guys, myself, you know, we've been doing this out of the good of our hearts, you know, and it is a business. You know, we are selling products, which again, that is to push us forward to be able to do more, you know. And I think it was Scott said to me yesterday, you know, every waterfall starts with a drop. So essentially that is where we are right now, isn't it, really? So
I think it's really, you know, you and Kyla have both picked up on a few crucial points here, which is that, you know, it was imperative that we launched the clothing side of what we're doing, because that's, you know, where the funding's going to come from to make it possible for us to then go out and do the conscious aspect of what we're about. Yeah. I think now that we've done that, then it's really important that we show people that the conscious side is a genuine side, there's so many ideas or sort of opportunities like this that come up, and the first thing that's questioned is the sincerity of it. I think the fact that we were out in the street collectively as a team, we've not got a big group of 20 or 30 people with us. We've got sort of half a dozen, and out of that half a dozen, 4 of us were on the street. It's absolutely imperative for us now to show the wider world out there that what we're trying to do is make a difference. But if somebody, finds it within themselves that they're able to buy a cap or a beanie and maybe get, if it is later on that they're able to get a hoodie or whatever, the very smallest contribution is a contribution. So that's
Absolutely,
what's vital.
100%.
That's what's vital throughout all the sales, but it's also vital from our perspective. We went
It's
there
also
last week.
Yeah, it's also the feedback as well. Sorry to interrupt you there, Tom. Even the smallest bit of feedback keeps you moving, drives you forward. Sales, I mean, that's a different story, because that's someone actually putting their hand in the pocket and saying, I am going to support this. I think what we're actually trying to do here is build a community of people who all believe in the project. We're not at the final destination right now. We're very, very far away from it. But if people can understand that this is a journey, come into this ecosystem. And that's why doing things like this, I think, is so important. Because we're sharing conversation, we're sharing ideas, we're sharing thoughts, and I think going back to the point you made about being on the streets with just, a small number of people, I mean, it would be incredible to be able to bring together our fans, in time to be able to go out onto the streets and do something that really helped, a food bank or, just actually working together.
Definitely.
So, I think that's what's crucial about what we're doing now, Aidan, because the communication is everything. And where you see a lot of the sales that were driven through all of our collective enthusiasm within our closer circles, what we're trying to do is express that to a wider audience so that people can really get behind what it is we're doing, and they can understand the whole process of what we're trying to do. We have to sell, 2 items for 1 sack. Kyla and I, and along with the boys, turned up at Coffee for Craig the other day, met a lot of homeless people that are there. I mean, it was phenomenal. I saw in the people's eyes what it meant to them. Well, there's 2 of the guys actually, I seen it flatly in their eyes. I said, listen, mate, thanks for allowing me the opportunity to cut your hair and for giving me the privilege of your time. There's a gift from all of us at Streetwise and Conscious, and I gave them the bag. And then I saw how much it meant to that one individual. And like you said, it's only the first drop of a waterfall. But by touching one person, you get to 2, you get to 3, and you get to 4. Then you start to create a momentum that has an impact in people's lives.
One of the guys we spoke to, just hearing him talk about his life and his experiences and how he's kind of adapted, honestly brought tears to my eyes. And then being able to give them the StreetSaks and see the impact that it does have on people. One of the things I didn't expect so many people to have such a positive outlook on things, especially this one guy we spoke to. He was honestly remarkable. And I was listening to him talk about how he, kind of goes about his life now that he's received the help from Coffee for Craig, and how he kind of presents himself and how he holds himself. Honestly, just made me so happy.
But Ed, the effort that went in, and how speculative we all were, and what is this gift going to be? Going right back to the initial idea was to give out a sleeping bag. The StreetSaks obviously contains the essentials we've put in it, the hat, gloves, underwear, the different things that we've been able to gift in it. But what was really obvious is the actual rucksack part, the StreetSaks itself, because the guys, as soon as you handed that rucksack, what essentials they have that they're trying to preserve and protect. There's the wee safe, they can stick their stuff in it.
Definitely, when they were coming in for their haircuts and you'd kind of think that people would have, at least a big duffel bag or something filled with whatever they had. But these guys just had the clothes that they were wearing. So the actual rucksack itself, they were so grateful for.
Yeah, I remember that was the first bit of feedback that we got from Coffee for Craig, which actually surprised me exactly for the same reason, because you expect somebody to have that because it's such an obvious thing that you would have if you was on the move all the time. But it just goes to show that people just don't.
It's not a huge hefty rucksack that they've got to lug around. It's a good size that will fit plenty of their belongings in.
Great. No, I mean, it's, as I said, it's the first step of many that we're looking to take with the support of everyone out there. And Sounds like you had an eye-opening day, guys, to be fair. So there's going to be
100%.
so it got cut off then. So Tom, just you know where you was up to, mate.
Just one of the things that struck me as well, you know, that some of the guys were talking about where they get the opportunity to get into accommodation. I think for us, it's been such a learning process to this point. I think because we're all so open to learning more about the needs of the guys we're trying to help. And there was a few aspects of that really struck me. So I'd be keen to spend more time with, you know, a lot of the guys we met and maybe new folk that come in via Coffee for Craig or people we meet in the street, you know.
Yeah.
They were saying that sort of they maybe get into accommodation and you're sort of 4 weeks in and the bills start coming, and they weren't really, a lot, the guy in particular that was saying this to me, it really struck me. There was a few of them said that he really spoke in detail. He'd been 8 years in the street. And what you forget, you know, Aidan and Kyla, that when you've been on the street or in any circumstance for maybe 8 years of your life, you forget very easily what it's like to manage day-to-day existence. And so I could see the fear in him, just the conversation about a bill coming in, or, you know what I mean? Like, we all face these challenges, but we're used to it because we've said, if, you know, Kyla's going out on her journey now, started a new job this week. And then she was saying to me, you know, if I could save this a week, and talking about, you know, when the time comes, a flat and what have you. But what you're doing for a very young age is you're planning that sort of way ahead. Whereas when some of these guys are, you know, and women, obviously, unfortunately, they're grown adults and they've been on the street and they might be 30 or 40 or 50 years old. It's very difficult to feel that you want to go back and start again, or how do I start again? And I think that's maybe something for us for the future to look into, saying, right, you know, is there the sort of
planning?
Like an educational thing, or saying to somebody, right, what is it that frightens you? Well, you know, the council tax come in, or like what help is it? I don't know, but it was just, all I wanted to touch on was that I don't know all the answers, but I wouldn't mind going and trying to find some of them out, because I think if we could, if we're working really hard to try and help people eventually get off the street, but getting off the street frightens them as much as it frightens us to be on the street, then that's not going to be a solution. We need to look deeper into the problem to find the way out and the solution to that problem. You know, and it was just something I wanted to touch on.
Yeah, no, so it's an amazing point, to be fair. I mean, you brought up a couple of examples. You've raised one today, which was the guy who preferred to be in jail, but there was also there was that other example as well.
That what happened was he's got into a routine where he's actually quite comfortable being on the street. He goes into hostels at times if the weather's bad. But what he was saying to me was that if he found it more stressful, that if he got off the street, but knew he inevitably was going to return to the street because he couldn't handle the bill paying and things like that, he said it actually upset his cycle more. And so he had kind of accepted the fact that he was just destined to be on the street.
Yeah.
And that saddened me, because if people who are unfortunate enough to be on the street can't see a way out, then they'll stop searching for a solution. And listen, we've made a start, and I think that obviously we are providing a sort of short-term solution. You know, you could see the impact as we gave out the StreetSaks. That's a definite help. There's no question that it's not the solution, but it's a help.
Yeah. And
so again, with people being kind enough to commit to purchasing, you know, the items that are funding it, which is namely obviously we're hoodies and t-shirts that we've mentioned. But I think it's also important for us to get that message out there that that's not where we're going to end. You know, we're looking for a wider scale solution, and that's why we were at Coffee for Craig, and that's why we were going to the coalface and trying to see the depths of the problem, because, you know, only by really understanding how people are ending up in this situation are we going to be able to try and contribute towards some kind of solution to get them out of it.
Yeah, 100%. And I think also just to finish off, really, I think we, you know, rather than looking at ourselves as trying to solve the problem, I think what we are essentially trying to do here is create a vehicle for other people to get involved, to try to help, you know, because we are not going to solve the problem.
I think if we can make enough noise, more people become aware of the problem.
Yeah. 100%, that's the aim. But yeah, no, it's been good, guys. I appreciate it. We'll continue to try to keep doing these updates whenever there's something significant to update everyone on. Just keep an eye on the socials, some content hopefully coming out soon before the main film, which will probably be mid-September when we bring that out, and then we're sort of going to be planning to go again, really, and really start to make some noise. So yeah, it's been good, guys. Really appreciate you jumping on, and
you, Ed.
We'll chat soon.
As always, mate. Brilliant job, Ed. Thank you.